3. What happened to where they go?
Who's 5?
Wait,
I'm
1,
five.
2. My
1,
fingers
2,
there is 3.
3. I only started on 4.
I see Abraham's there is 4.
Abraham's there.
Here's Abraham. So we have 1, 2, 3.
There's Abraham.
Oh, wait a minute. Somebody
Abraham
disappeared.
left. He's there.
We have 4.
Yeah, 4.
One.
Just gotta wait for one more, guys, and I'll start it up.
Abraham, he cannot vote, Abraham. Who's making all that
Evening,
noise?
Abraham. Hermano, ¿cómo está?
Somebody's making a lot of noise.
It's probably Miriam.
Yeah, I think that's when it started, to tell you the truth.
I
Yep.
know. I told her she can't be on the phone here with this.
Bye. I'll mute.
Are you
Okay,
planning
she's
to,
good.
Miriam, are you going to communicate with us through the phone?
I'm always on the phone because that's how it's been set up. You hear less when I'm on the phone than you would hear otherwise. And I'm going to mute it. I'm going to mute it right now.
Miriam, just so you know, and it's not a problem, but just to expedite it a little faster later on Somerset, I mentioned to Nick earlier that we want really a full letter from the attorney from the HOA, assuming everything goes forward, confirming that he's satisfied with the entire revised plans. His email just talks about the 75-foot buffer, and I think we ought to, make sure he's satisfied, or his HOA is satisfied with everything, right?
Well, Jerry, I don't have a problem with it, but, he knows that we have a meeting tonight.
Not tonight. No, not tonight. It'll be a condition of approval, assuming we go forward.
Sure, no problem.
Good, thanks.
Jerry,
Yes.
does she know that Hal Halverson has to recuse himself?
Al Halverson has to recuse himself.
Now I do.
There you go.
What? Yeah, now I do. I didn't know that until now. But how many members are there currently? Just want to make sure we're going to have enough.
Well, right now,
We have 4 members.
right now it looks like 3. We're working on them.
We have Moish, Abram, Lankry.
1, 2. Who's the one with the phone numbers? 484668.
Is that
Who is
Miriam?
that?
Is that Miriam?
No, I don't think
No.
no, that's not me.
Moish, why do we have you down twice here?
I don't know. Miriam, so far we have Meishing, but Hal Halverson.
Well, Hal
Meishing-
can't sit on it. Hal can't
I
sit
know.
on it. So
I'm just counting. We have Abraham
He
Naftali.
doesn't have veto power.
I don't know why we have 2 Meishingbers.
You can't. What's wrong with 2 of me?
Nothing, actually. So we need to
One
count
is one
it
too many.
twice.
That's what somebody else said, not me.
Twice
I heard
this
you
week.
You remember, so I'm on twice.
So we got a quorum because we got him twice.
Got a quorum, we got them twice. There's 5
where's
members.
the other mice? Where's the other mice?
He'll be
Don't
here
vote
shortly,
twice. That's
hopefully.
frowned upon these days.
Making pizzas.
He's making pizzas. So one second.
Miriam,
So
I
will
just
he-
want to say,
Wait
this
a
is
minute,
Ralph. If we're going to proceed and we need a letter from them and it's subject to, I'd rather wait till we got the letter because it's giving them too much power over our approval. They were notified. They're here. They could object. And to make that as a condition of approval, I'd rather wait and talk to them. I don't think that we should have to get an approval and then say it's subject to them. They're going to come with a whole list of stuff, and we can't negotiate in front of the board. Their attorney, they were notified properly. We negotiated with their attorney. They could object, and we've taken care of all of their objections. But to give them the right to unilaterally impose later on a letter of acceptance is untenable for us.
Well,
They have
Mr.
the
Zucker,
right to be here, and they're not here. We would like to proceed without that.
you certainly can, Mr. Zucker. Just so you know, the representation made was that the HOA had agreed with all of the revised plans. And what we did is we received a copy of an email on October 26th from Ronald Pearl addressed to Miriam Weinstein, who sent it to us. My client is good with a 75-foot buffer for the cul-de-sac. As the engineers discussed, and other changes are acceptable as well. It's up to you. I would like them to say.
But they have a right to come and object. Does the board require every neighbor to put a letter of agreement beforehand? They were presented by a very competent attorney. We dealt with them. We made all the changes. We pulled out last time in respect, even though they came in last minute. And now they have a right to object. If they would object, they'll show up.
Okay. Let's get started. Let's get a fifth member. We can get started. Oh, there's Mr. Penzer. Oh, no, we don't want him.
That's not a fifth member.
Does anybody know who that phone number is, 4846 with the number 68? Is that one of our members?
I thought it might be Miriam.
They're
No,
muted.
she said it's,
No, because my come up, I'm on regular. The phone is just, instead of having AirPods or something.
Amanda, Jason, do you know who that is? Or it could be that number?
It could be somebody from the public.
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
It's probably somebody from the public.
Do we answer the phone?
I can unmute them
Well,
and see if they'll.
if you unmute them, exactly, if you unmute them, they can say who they are.
All right. Should I do that, Amanda?
I just tried to unmute them. I sent them a request to unmute themselves.
Oh, okay.
Guys, it's Morty.
Okay, I can hear you, Morty.
Okay, so that number is Morty, and Fran, you should be ashamed of yourself that you don't recognize my number.
Pretty gross.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
So they
sorry.
just shut out 5 members.
Okay.
I've been screaming at my phone for so long. You can't keep me muted. That's my wife's job.
Well, you're unmuted. How come I don't see your picture?
Oh, please leave.
Because I joined my phone.
Oh,
I'll be in my study in like 10 minutes, and then you'll see my face.
okay.
So
For now, I'm on the
start-
phone.
Now that we have, we can actually start. I want to get started.
Yes.
Now we have 5 members, okay? So, Fran, roll call, please. This meeting has been,
Advertised with Sunshine Law.
right. Thank you,
Okay.
Fran.
You're welcome.
All that
Roll
stuff.
call.
Mr. Gelly. Mr. Halverson is here. I saw him. Mr. Langley is here. Mr. Naftali is here.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Ribbiat's not here. Mr. Ingber is here. Mr.
Here.
Gross. Gross is
It's
here.
here.
In the car somewhere. Mr. Gonzalez is here.
Here.
Mr. Halberstam is not here.
Okay, we're going to do a quick salute to the flag, ladies and gentlemen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag.
To the flag.
United States
to America,
and to the republic for which it
Which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty
liberty,
and justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Okay, great. Can I get an approval of the minutes of October 19th, please?
I make the motion.
I'll make a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Morty will second it.
Second, Marsh. Fran, roll call.
That was Morty. 1 minute. Okay, he's not here. Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Naftali,
Yes.
Mr. Ingber,
Yes.
Mr. Gross, and Mr. Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
We have any
Yes.
correspondence?
yes, I do. Appeal number 4163, they'd like to carry till the December 7th. That's Yosef Magid.
Chairman, if you want to do that, you should accept it by motion with the understanding that this will be the announcement that the meeting will be December 7th and there should not be a need for a new notice.
That's correct. So we have the motion made, or the motion before the floor about the appeal number 4163.
Right, we need a motion to carry appeal number 4163 with no further notice, and whoever it is agrees to waive the time.
Why are they carrying?
Because we only have 4 members, 5 maybe. Oh, Moshe Langley is here now.
Thank you, here. Okay, great. 6 members, excellent.
Well, I'll read to you what
Don't
they
anybody
said.
leave. Hey, buddy, how are you?
4163. I have a letter from Sam Brown in reference to appeal number 4163, Yosef Magid. The applicant has some last-minute considerations to address in this application and accordingly requests that the application be carried to the next available date. Please advise of the new date.
I think he wants to talk to the neighbors. in that area because they're doing some construction,
Okay,
Abraham. So I think that it's okay to carry it.
Yeah, I have no problem to carry, but if they know they have a meeting, we have an agenda, there's people waiting, there's a waiting list. They should take care of it, try to take care of it beforehand so we can put somebody else in the agenda. That's just an opinion. People should know that if they have an appointment, if they have a meeting, they have a meeting. Take care of all your meetings and everything else so we can put somebody else in the agenda. So,
Okay, well taken. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to carry?
Motion to carry. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Hal Halverson. Roll call.
that was Mr. Ingber and Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
and this is for Joseph Magid, 4163. Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Langley,
Yes.
Mr. Naftali,
Yes.
Mr. Ingber,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
and Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Okay, good. And now I have another letter from, let's see who this one is from. This is from New Lines in reference to appeal number 4162, Akiva Mayer. The applicant would like to request this meeting to be carried as they would like to be heard when there is a full board present. Well, it looks like we have 6 members, and they want a full board.
Which application is this?
It's
4162.
4162.
That's the application on East 7th Street in Somerset.
And the next meeting is December 7th, if you want to carry it.
Do they know that even when we have a full board, we're not always all there?
That was the best
They're gonna
one.
find out. They're
I
gonna
believe
find
you
out
said
December
that.
7th.
That was
I can shut off now.
that was very good. Very good.
We
Warren.
need just one more. Okay. Can I get a motion on 4162 to carry to December 7th?
I would say that if they're gonna carry it, just because, I think they should renotice.
Well, they're carrying because there's not a full board and they're entitled to a full board.
I know, but this application seems like, I don't know, I'm not getting a good feeling why they're carrying it. I feel like they should renotice if they want to carry it.
It's the kind of application, and it's John Franklin's property. We all know where it is, but it's the kind of application that they should have a full board so that they have the opportunity to get 5 out of 7 yes votes.
Instead of
Brian, did you have any?
7 no votes.
Or no
They're
votes,
gonna get 7 out of 7 no votes.
but at least they get 7 votes.
Okay.
And I'm going to be testifying, and it's going to be very difficult to get the votes we need. So I would appreciate it as well.
Mr. Langley,
Okay. Mr.
Brian,
Langley
did you
made
have
the
any
motion. We need a
opposition?
excuse
second.
me, wait. Let Mr. Langley speak.
I don't have a problem with the application. I'm willing to make a motion.
To carry?
Carrie?
Carry.
Okay, go ahead.
We need a second.
Who seconds it?
I'll second.
Abraham Naftali.
Abraham, Naftali, roll call?
Mr. Halverson?
Yes.
Mr. Langley?
Yes.
Mr. Naftali?
Yes.
Mr. Ingber?
Yeah.
Mr. Gross?
Yes.
And Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, yes.
No further notice and
No
agree to
further
wait
notice.
time, and the meeting is December 7th.
Okay.
Thank you.
December 2nd, Fran.
7th. December 7th. Should I double check that? 1
I'm
minute.
checking now.
December 7th.
December
I
7th.
think that's right, Fran.
You're right. Okay, moving right along to old business. Mr. Zucker, you heard the request of the HOA. I don't think that they're, and correct me if I'm right, Jerry. I don't think that they're questioning or opposing to the application. They just, because it's been approved by their attorneys and they've heard it. Okay, they just want it to be on record. That's all they're asking for.
And we're okay with that.
Mr. Zucker, stop, please. I understand Mr. Zucker's comments, and I think they're well-deserved, and I don't believe we need to have a condition of a formal letter from the other attorney. They have been noticed, He did send an email in, which is a little bit not exactly what we're looking for, but I think it's good enough. So I would suggest we go forward, and I would not recommend that we need a full legal letter as a condition of approval.
I also recommend that I think we can go forward, Mr. Zucker.
Right. Just a question. It's Avram Naftali. This is a continuation from last time, so I wasn't here last time. I think I don't think I can vote.
We can start from scratch. We can definitely start from scratch.
No, wait a minute. Well, hold on.
Go ahead, Jerry.
We're not going to start from scratch. If we have at least 4 people who can vote on it. We already have a quorum, so that's not an issue. So I don't think it's necessary. Chairman, it's up to you and the rest of the board. I don't think we need to rehear all of this. We have plans which have been approved by Mr. Voigt, plans which have been approved by the HOA. If there's anyone here who wants to comment from the public, so be it. But, and Mr. Langkry can't vote on it because you didn't listen to the tape or, watch the...
Mr. Naftali.
Naftali.
Mr. Naftali.
Well, we can go on without Abraham's vote.
My question to you: the board members that have seen it have seen the changes in the plans. Do they have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm speculating that the board members that are here, the 4 board members that can hear it, don't have any questions based on the plans that have been submitted. I've seen the plans. I, for one, I'm speaking on my behalf, like the new plans that are there because I see the openings, the extra openings that we have. The only thing that I'd like to confirm, Mr. Zucker, is that they continue to have openings in the future, so that way those streets we get more than one street going in and out. And I've seen you complied with the plans that I see here that there's an extra street on Sally. So
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that.
Mr. Zucker, I want you to raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, sir?
I do.
Go right ahead.
Do you want me to start and present this?
Please, Miriam.
Yeah, I mean, this was a little out of the ordinary to just call the applicant. Mr. Zucker's pretty good, so I don't mind if you want to do it that way. But why don't we just start? Miriam Weinstein on behalf of the applicant, Somerset NH LLC. Just to give the board the full background, I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page. I'll do it quickly. This applicant received an approval from this board, just as a reminder, back in 2006 to develop a mixed-use neighborhood of single-family homes and townhouses, which would have consisted of 26 townhouse units in 7 buildings, along with 24 single-family homes. That project never got built, and in 2019, the applicant reevaluated the project and realized that the market in Lakewood had changed a lot, and now really the buyers prefer duplex units over townhouse units. The duplex use is a conditional use in the B5 zone, but since we couldn't meet all of the conditions for the use, we came back in front of this board and we were granted use variance approval for the duplex use by resolution memorialized back in December of last year. That approval did not grant us a unit count. It provided for a maximum of 60 units, and it just said, made it clear that we would be based on R75 standards without a unit count. So now we're here, I guess it was 2 months back, and we're here for the same reason, simply for subdivision approval. The use variance has been granted, and we're just here for this subdivision approval. At the time that the use variance approval was granted, the board made some recommendations to the applicant to try to improve the circulation in the area. With that in mind, the applicant designed this project with a connection to the duplex project adjacent to us to the north of the site, which would ultimately give the project access to Route 70, in addition to its access to New Hampshire Avenue. At the last meeting, the board member said to us, but we don't have the full plans for that other development. So that is one of the exhibits that we're going to submit tonight. And as soon as Brian is sworn, when I'm finished speaking, he will mark all of the exhibits into evidence labeled very nicely so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're here this evening with clear plans that will show that the connection will not only benefit our project, but actually will also greatly benefit the project to the north that has already been approved, as well as the entire area. In addition to that, I'm going to go back to what Obi was referring to before, which is that the applicant listened to the board, and the board made a recommendation that they wanted, I think it was Obi himself who made the recommendation that he wanted to see some more connections. So what we have done is we've provided a connection to Sally Avenue to potentially have another connection that would eventually connect to Locust Street. So our testimony will show that this plan will not only not make traffic worse, it will actually improve the traffic from what exists today. The only other point I want to make, we've already discussed, which was with Leisure Village, which is that, yes, we worked extensively with Leisure Village to make sure that they were happy with the plans, with their attorney, Ron Pearl. With that, and their engineer, actually. With that said, I'd like to call and ask Brian Flannery to be sworn. Gary, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sorry. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer and professional planner. As Miriam indicated, this project initially came to the board as a bifurcated application for duplexes. It was submitted as duplexes to be designed in accordance with the R75 standards with a maximum of 60. Back here after some input from the Village Association and the board with a project that lost 4 dwelling units, but is a better project than that was originally submitted. As Miriam indicated, we've submitted exhibits which are on file at the town. I have them on my easel here. A1 shows the
No, go ahead, Brian.
A1 shows the 6 duplex unit. It shows the connection to the north, which will be paved and connected to the property line. I should point out in Terry's report, it indicates RSIS standards, we don't get a 25th CO for our units until that's connected. So there's a second access for the project. We've also, as per the board meeting, we provided an access to Sally. Both of the secondary accesses, the applicant will improve to the property lines. The access to the north, as indicated, needs to be completed through the adjoining project prior to the 25th dwelling unit. Additionally, all of the revisions have been indicated in Terry's report on the second page, he lists them. We eliminated, it used to be a boulevard all the way down because we had no secondary access. At this point, we've restricted the boulevard. It's less than 400 feet. It has one opening in it, and that provides a much wider cartway further down the road, and there's no reason for a boulevard any further down the road. We eliminated the 4 duplex units. The first plan had 60. We're down to 56 units now, and the additional stub access. With respect to the homeowner association, we pulled the cul-de-sac back, so we have 75 feet from the proposed right-of-way to the Leisure Village property. We've indicated the existing vegetation in that area to remain, and we've provided a playground that's 120 feet away from the Leisure Village. Those were the comments that they wanted us to do. New lines, FedEx plans to them last week, so they had all the details, all the reports, everything they needed to look at. I am certain that if there was something they didn't like, they would have reached out to us or they would have been here this evening. So continuing through the report, as Miriam indicated, we have the use for this. We've indicated a side setback of 8 feet. The last time we were here, we were indicating a 7-foot side setback. We've indicated that the minimum setback will be 8 foot, which exceeds the R75 criteria. Terry's report on page 4 has the comment of A number 1, no CO for the 25th unit until there is that secondary access to Route 70. The other exhibits that we have, A2 is an exhibit which shows a colored rendering of the units, and I'd like to point out that it shows all the decks, which are all within the setbacks. That was a question the last time. It shows the proposed shul with the parking for it. It shows that there's plenty of green in the front along the roadway, as well as in the rear and the side of the units. A3 shows the adjoining development to the north, and that was a 74-unit duplex project along with some commercial. And that project, when it was before the planning board, required a property and an easement to allow for a future connection, because this connection makes these 74 units flow much better. It works good for both projects. The additional connection on Sally, as Mr. Gonzalez had indicated, will provide for connecting through and this may be the last undeveloped property in Lakewood. It's probably like my 40th last undeveloped project. Back in the late 90s, I did the first last undeveloped property on Brook Road, and we've had a bunch of them since then. But A4 shows the adjoining Leisure Village next to our property. And you can see that the duplexes that were built there were closer to Leisure Village than what we're proposing. We proposed a 120-foot, with the only exception in that 120 foot of trees to remain is the cul-de-sac, which they've agreed to. And then A5 shows the vacant area, and these are paper streets. And it's paper streets in the B5A, which permit duplexes. I am very sure either the planning board will be seeing applications within a short period of time for development of this, which is probably the last wooded piece remaining. Terry indicates we should provide testimony on the access roads. The access road to the north is a 40-foot easement, which lines up with the 40-foot easement on the adjoining property. The connection to the south provides a 32-foot wide cartway, which will connect to the 32-foot wide cartway in the paper streets, which will ultimately connect to Locust Street at the traffic light. On page 3, there's question about a testimony on the decks. And as I indicated on the previous thing, the plans show decks for each of the units, and the decks fit within the setbacks. Architectural plans have been submitted for both the shul and for the dwelling units. Page 7 of the report requests that there be testimony on the maximum height of the building, and all of the buildings will comply with the ordinance. There'll be 2.5 stories, a maximum height of 35 feet. And the remainder of the items in the report, we can certainly comply with. I think I would like to, just because it's been a while since we did the initial application, just go over the master plan of 2017 on page 2 on background information. It goes through all the growth that Lakewood has, and it concludes on page 3. Based on this information, it's important Lakewood plan for residential development to house its growing population. And that's what this does. If you look at this area, which is going to be duplexes because they're permitted on paper, and there's paper streets that lay that out very nicely. Duplexes north of us, this provides duplexes at a density consistent with that. The vision statement on page 7 of that 2017 master plan says encourage development in appropriate locations consistent with established land uses. I think when you look at 8.5, that's pretty much as clear as you can be. The municipal land use law, NJAC 40:55D2, under the purpose of the act, says encouragement of action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in a state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And I think with the help of the board and with Leisure Village, we've provided a project that does exactly that. The remainder of the comments in the RDE report are informational, and we will comply and satisfy the board engineer as part of resolution compliance.
All right, Brian, thank you so much. And Miriam, I like this project better than the one that was originally presented. I'm glad that they worked things out with Leisure Village. I'm going to open it up right now to the board members. Any board members have any comments on this project?
Yeah. It's Morty. I just have a few questions. Brian, are you seeking any sort of variances on the amount of parking spots for the shul?
No, we're not.
And in your opinion, will school buses come down this road?
Yes, I believe school buses will come down. And the school buses, when the property to the south is developed, will rotate in and come out at Locust Street. School buses have the availability once the 25th unit is built to go out to Route 70. The cul-de-sac is an RSIS compliant cul-de-sac, which if nobody parks on it, allows for the bus to turn around. And this is a more unique situation than in some. In a lot of the cul-de-sacs in town, you have houses around the cul-de-sac, and then people park on the cul-de-sac. Here, there's no reason for them to do that. We have a very wide roadway. We have room in between the units for parking, and we have 4 parking spaces in each thing, and a shul which has parking in accordance with the ordinance.
Is there a way to restrict it, or are we gonna have to go through the township to restrict that there should be no parking on the street?
I would say parking on the street, I would not be my opinion that it should be restricted. Parking on the cul-de-sac, we would request from the township committee that no parking be permitted on the cul-de-sac, because that's the area where you would need to have the turnaround.
And some space from the cul-de-sac also, can people park all the way to the edge?
Yes. We would make the request. The board engineer, along with the applicant's engineer, would meet with the police traffic safety, and we'd come up with the no parking plan that makes sense for this particular cul-de-sac.
All right, that's all I have.
Any other questions from any other board members?
Yeah.
Maurice?
The first house in the cul-de-sac, how close is that to the street? If Brian, if you could just tell me.
Complies with the setback for R75. The closest point, the corner of that house is 25 feet from the right-of-way line.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's going to, in your opinion, do you think that's going to disturb the sight line of cars trying to pull out?
You're talking on the unit on the end of the cul-de-sac?
The end of the cul-de-sac on the street of New Hampshire.
Oh, on New Hampshire. On New Hampshire. No, that's more than 25 feet. I'm seeing the 25-foot setback line. The corner of the building does clip it. So that is within 25 feet of the right-of-way line. The plan provides site triangle easements in accordance with the AASHTO standards. And Scott Kennel, who's the traffic engineer, is here. If you wanted his opinion on that, he'd certainly be willing to testify. But my testimony is that particular unit being 25 feet back doesn't inhibit any sight distance for a vehicle that's only going to be allowed right turns out there, and it gives plenty of sight distance for that.
All right, maybe you can comment on that if he's listening.
Mr. Flannery, either for you or Mr. Zucker, one of Mr. Boat's comments on page 6, number 21, is that no attic apartments are proposed, but there are bathrooms in the attics. Why is that?
Well, a bathroom in the attic is standard on the plan, and somebody using the attic that needs to go to the bathroom, it provides that availability. We would expect the same condition on these units that we typically get from the zoning board, which is that there'll be no direct access from the outside to the attic.
Thank you.
Is this bifurcated or not?
Yes, this is bifurcated. We already have use variance.
Right, so we're going to be able to see architecturals once you come back, right?
But architecturals have been submitted.
Yeah.
They already have the architecturals.
Okay, I'm looking at them now, actually. There we go. I didn't realize. Apologize.
And we would expect all of these standard zoning board conditions, the foundation plantings and the upgraded architecturals. And we fully intend to comply with that. It's going to be a beautiful neighborhood, and it's something that both the board and the applicant can be proud of.
Are there any other board members that have any questions before I open up to the public? Okay, hearing none. Franny, do we have any comments from the public?
Yes, I received an email from Moshe Zines. I think everybody
Before
should
you
have
open to
it
the
now.
public, can you hear me?
Yeah, Moish Lankry?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead. What's up?
Okay, I've been having sound trouble.
Oh, okay.
I've been having sound trouble. I try to log on with my phone. I just want to touch on what Moshe Ingber spoke about. That corner unit, Brian, that Moshe Ingber was talking about, that corner unit.
Yes.
I thought we spoke about last time to make like a slow down lane as you approach to the project. It looks like you did it by the second unit, by the right turn out, but you didn't do it by the first unit. Is there like a slow down lane or an acceleration lane as you get out to merge into traffic?
Well, we did that in consultation with with Scott, the traffic engineer, and in anticipation of what the county's looking for. So a vehicle coming into the site doesn't need a deceleration lane in order to make this turn into there. Going out of the site, it has been set back, as you've indicated, to provide for that accel lane so that a vehicle can safely navigate in making the right turn out of the site.
Yeah, the vehicle, but sometimes buses or trucks or they might need extra space to get into, and it can't really hurt. And I do believe it makes it a little bit safer on that corner. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes. We certainly would be okay with requesting from the county that additional setback beyond what they normally do. In that respect, the only limiting factor we have is we don't have right-of-way in front of the vacant property to the south of us. That's property that I would expect to be developed at the planning board in the near future, based on it being rezoned to a B5A, and at that time, additional area may be necessary. So what we would propose is that we would widen it in front of our property. We would do the sidewalk in front of our property in an easement so that the property lines can stay the same. But as far as transitioning back, we would need relief from the county to not have a transition back because we don't have right of way and it's not our property to give it.
I think that, Brian, I think what you're saying is great.
Right, but if you're doing it, then county.
We're going to propose to the county that.
My sound went off.
No.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, we're going to propose to the county that we widen the egress lane as well, and not have a transition, the normal transition back to that width. And on an egress lane that works, on an ingress lane that works. On egress, it doesn't work because when you're driving out, if you go and there's no transition, you run over a curb. When you're coming in, the next guy that comes down can match ours, and then it'll all work very well. But we need county approval for that. So we would agree to do that if approved by the county.
I think that's a good idea because that gives the opportunity. You mentioned that the property to the south is eventually going to get developed as well. So if you were already bumped in, that gives them the opportunity to continue that lane along their property and make a third lane there.
Yes, and the applicant would be happy to do that and stripe it accordingly. But we are subject to county approval. So that if the county says says no, then the
I
answer is
also
no.
feel like we've done this in the past, that it gives a lot of buses, I think, will refuse to drive into this cul-de-sac. So they're gonna try to stop on that street on New Hampshire. It gives them the full length of the property to be able to pull a bus over to a side lane and not have to block traffic if they choose not to drive into the cul-de-sac.
And I think that's a very good thing, but as far as blocking traffic, I hope everybody stops, because otherwise it's a dangerous situation and it's breaking the law.
Agreed.
Understand. But if we have the space, there's at least,
I'll be stopping, and I think all of us will be stopping. Hopefully everybody stops.
if the space is there, there's a chance that it'll get done. If we don't put the space in, that'll never get done, right, Brian?
Yes, absolutely correct.
Do you have enough space there with the duplex on the corner, or will you have to lose a unit?
We have enough space. What we would do is propose the sidewalk and an easement on our property, which is done on a regular basis.
Okay, so you can safely do it without a problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions from board members?
Yeah, one last question.
Please.
You mentioned that you were going to build this nicely. Is Mr. Zucker doing it, or is he going to be selling out to somebody else? I know if Mr. Zucker does it, it'll be done properly.
Can I answer that?
Yes, Ralph.
Yes,
I
you're
appreciate
sworn,
that.
you can answer.
I got to tell you, I can't promise. I do have a partner, Mr. Schroen, and we, it's possible. I do have to be clear that I can't promise, but I can commit that we would put the requirements in. We have architecturals, and what I could commit is that we would put some architectural constraints in the plan so that you know that it will be built properly. We do take a lot of pride, but I don't want to commit that I'm going to be the builder. I have no idea what tomorrow's going to be, especially not, every day is crazy. So I don't know if I could. I'd love to say yes, but I got to say the truth. But I will do my best to make sure it's as good as can be. And I appreciate what you said.
Thank you, Mr. Zucker. And since you fought for the project, we hope that you'll continue to make sure that it goes the way you've done it in the past.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, hearing none, now I'm going to open to the public. Franny.
Yes, I have an email which I sent to everybody from Moshe Zines. It's quite lengthy. I'll try to read it. Does everybody have it? Terry, I sent it to you also. There's a lot of engineering questions in here. I would like to recommend that the board condition.
Yes, I have it.
Okay, condition its approval on the applicant upon approval of Lakewood Police Department's traffic safety unit installing the following: retro-reflective street name signs on the corners, and it goes on, crosswalks along the corners, stop bars, as well as double yellow solid lines, yellow paint on the curbs, bright sticks on each stop sign. This was his recommendations. I don't have Ralph, I don't have your email to send it to you. I wanted to forward it to you. Should I send it to Nick? I think I have Nick's.
Miriam sent it to me already. Miriam sent it to me already.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I have it. I sent it.
In replying to this, Mr. Zines is a very good citizen, and he has some good ideas here. But the first thing is we don't want to condition on approval of the Lakewood Police Department, because that's not a regular condition. The applicant has no problem with if the township during resolution compliance wants to do retro-reflective street names and signs. If that's the township standard, this applicant is not going to argue over a couple cents on signs. So as part of resolution compliance, we would agree to work with the township, with your board's engineer, and your board's engineer works with DPW and the police, and all of these things, to the extent they're a Lakewood issue that Lakewood is good with, we'll do. If they're a county issue, if the county is good with them, we will do them. So, if this is put in there informationally and indicating that the applicant will work it out with as resolution compliance, we have no problem. But we don't want a blanket condition that it's subject to getting the police department to do all these things, to approve all these things, because we don't know if they are going to approve all of them.
Okay, that's the only request from the public, Fran?
Yes.
Obi, I got one more question before you go to ask for a,
I'm not asking for a vote yet, Moshe. Let me close it to the public first.
okay, you got it.
Thank you. Okay, so hearing none from the public, we're gonna close to the public. Brian, I just want to ask Terry real quick. Terry, you heard the request of the public. Do you agree with Brian that they'll work it out with the police department at that time?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Chairman. If we have questions about anything Mr. Zainis is recommending, we can certainly reach out to the traffic safety people ourselves.
All right.
Chairman, if a motion goes forward, we'll put into the resolution that the applicant will, as a matter of good faith, will try to take care of those comments, et cetera. Yeah.
All right, great. Moish, Mr. Lankry.
As a question for Terry and maybe Brian also, I just assumed that traffic flow and buses were coming in from New Hampshire. Terry, I just realized it could be that traffic, the actual buses will be coming in from Route 70 and coming out onto New Hampshire. The side street that you have here, not the Sally, I can't read the side street that attaches the other project. Do you see any problems buses going through that and down Buddleman Way?
I'm going to defer to the design professionals, but it's my understanding that the circulation plan already takes that into account. If it does not, for some reason, we can ensure that in compliance.
And the circulation plan does take it into account. It's a 30-foot wide cartway connecting the access connector, which more than accommodates a school bus. Residential streets, according to the RSIS, could be as small as 18 feet, but typically 28 feet. 28 to 30 is typical. So 30 feet accommodates it. The curb radiuses are there. And as Terry indicates, as part of resolution compliance, if a bus can't make the turn there, it would have to be fixed. But my testimony is that a bus can make those turns.
Is there anything, Brian, that you can recommend that can make that an easier transition for buses coming down Buddleman Way?
And I think that's like any typical local street. So I don't think it needs to be anything different.
Is it like a typical street or like a complex?
It's like a typical street.
Okay, so streets are usually better than the way most complexes buses can't go in and out of for some reason. I don't know the measurements. I'm trusting you and Terry on the measurements.
And I appreciate the trust.
That's a 30-foot, you said a 30-foot right-of-way?
30-foot cartway. It's 30 feet from curb to curb.
Curb to curb. Is there parking on the streets there?
The 30 feet accommodates parking. We certainly would be happy to suggest to the governing body to restrict parking to one side.
I would like to make a comment, if you wish. I think Mr. Langley's comment is good. There's a curb cut, literally right as you make, if a bus is going to make that right-hand turn, if you can see where my finger is, there's a curb cut right there. There's going to be no parking there anyway. The same thing if you look across the way. What I would suggest is if the governing body approves, we put no parking right over there, so that this turn will never have parking if a bus is trying to make a right-hand turn. But I've built my share of narrow streets, and this one is a wide one.
Okay, so Ralph, you would have no problem like marking the streets at those where a bus might need the extra space to turn?
Absolutely no problem. I think it's a great idea.
And we agreed to a condition with respect to that on the cul-de-sac earlier. So it would be the same condition with respect to the northerly access drive.
Okay.
I think also that the access road should have parking only on one side. That's a great idea because you're going to have a lot of traffic going both ways from the other.
We don't have a problem with that.
If we want to put,
It might not be a bad idea. Restrict parking on that. I'm sorry, Mosh. I was agreeing with your idea of restricting parking on that access road.
Yeah.
Ralph, you see any problems with restricting access on that road?
No problem. It's a good idea.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you, Ralph.
All right, any other questions from board members? Okay, hearing none. Can I get a vote on this project, please?
I am willing to make a motion with the ideas that we implemented. If Jerry, you want to go over it, or you got it covered?
I've got it covered, but it's after a second, if the board wants me to write them, verbalize them, I will, but I have it.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a vote by Maurice Langkry, second by Morty Grove. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Langley,
Yes.
Mr. Ingber,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
and Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes. Mr. Zucker, I want to thank you once again. I know that we fought a little bit, but it worked to the benefit of the people, and that's all I'm concerned about. That at least that they would be able to live comfortably. But I'm sure you also welcome the opportunity. You've done a lot of projects here, and they've always been great, and we appreciate that. And we thank you.
I appreciate the conference of the board, and I appreciate your input. And you'd be surprised at how many of the things you guys recommended that I was telling the engineers beforehand that we should really put in, and they said, nah, it's not necessary. So you helped make the plan better, and I really appreciate it. We're very happy to have your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And
Ralph, you're hiring us, or you want us to hire you?
I don't know. I might need a job soon, so don't offer that too quickly. I'm going to be putting the siding on these houses myself.
I could use a guy in the pizza shop, Ralph, if you want to come over.
Yeah. Oh,
moving forward.
I'm pretty good with pizza, by the way.
All right, guys, moving forward, let's look at
Thank you very much.
That's a lot.
Thank you.
Appeal number 4157, Sam Schulman. Frank, can you read it, please?
Yes. Sam Schulman, Drake Road, variance requested for lot density minor subdivision to create 2 lots.
Who's representing Mr. Schulman?
Brian Flannery?
Okay.
Mr. Flannery, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer and professional planner. This application may look familiar to the board. The applicant came here before. It's virtually a 36,000 square foot lot. It's shy by a couple feet. The applicant came in to do a house on an existing 15,000 square foot lot and have 2 10,000 plus change square foot lots. The property is located on Drake Road on sheet 75 of the tax map. Last time I was here, I have the same map, which shows all the schools on the Part 12s. And the planning board recommended this to become R12. And the board has approved applications in the area. What we're here for this evening is a 15,000 square foot lot, which would hold the existing house, and a 20,000 square foot lot that would be for an additional lot at some time in the future. We understand that the board is going to say until the construction on Cross Street starts, we can't get a CO on the lot, and we would be comfortable with all of the typical conditions that the board imposes. As indicated in Terry's report, we're here for a density variance. The ordinance in the R40, which is the current zone, only permits a density of 1.06 dwelling units per acre. We're asking for, based on the approved plans, 2.44 dwelling units per acre, as compared to the R12, which allows 3.6 dwelling units per acre. So we're somewhere right in between. With respect to the justification for the density variance, the master plan of 2017, the proposed land use map indicates that this area should be rezoned to the R12.
You mute yourself.
The background, the master plan 2017 also has background information on page 2 that indicates all of the somebody needs to be muted.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, so the background information indicates all the growth we've had. It concludes with, based on this information, it's important that Lakewood plan for residential development to house its growing population. This would accomplish that goal. The vision statement says encourage development of redevelopment space on Spark Road to planning principles, which this does. the municipal land use law, NJAC 40:55B2, under the purpose of the act says, encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of development of all lands in a state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. It's my testimony that this does that. Also, it says to promote the establishment of appropriate population densities and concentrations that will contribute to the well-being of persons, neighborhoods, regions, and preservation of the environment. This is a property that, based on the surrounding uses, is particularly suited for this type of application, and the relief can be granted without any substantial detriment to the public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance. It's in accordance with the recommendation of the planning board in the master plan, and it's consistent with the other uses in the neighborhood. With respect to the other comments in Terry's report, we would satisfy. I don't think there was anything that really needed any further explanation.
Okay, Brian, my question to you is this. Looking at the report, all they're looking is to make it into 2 lots now of 15,000 square feet and 20,000 square feet. Now, in that 15,000 square feet, is that house going to stay the way it is, or they plan to put a new house?
The house is staying the way it is.
So basically, all they're asking for is to subdivide the lots.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Any questions from board members?
Yes, I have a question.
Hal, please go ahead.
The 2 lots that are going to be created, this is for single-family homes.
That is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members? Marcia, you got to unmute yourself.
Okay, here I am. The second
Go ahead,
lot
buddy.
is, how big is that lot gonna be?
The second lot is, I know it's 20,000, 20,429 square feet.
Gotcha. Is that on septic and sewer right now?
The existing house is on septic and well. There's public water in the street, so they can tie into the public water. And the 20,000 square foot lot leaves a lot of room for a septic. Additionally, there is sewer that's being extended into that area, and in all likelihood would be extended in front of the property at some point in the future.
Are you asking for a sidewalk waiver, or are you gonna put sidewalks there?
We're going to put sidewalks there.
On the old lot, existing lot as well? Or just
Yes.
on the one?
Yep.
On both?
On both.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members?
Brian, curbs also, or just sidewalks?
Just sidewalk is what we propose.
All right, Brian, it's my understanding that the township wants curb and sidewalks in any new development that's being made in houses.
Then
So-
we're proposing curb and sidewalk.
Okay, that's what I want to hear, Brian. That's exactly what I want to hear, nothing else. Any other questions from board members? If you're muted, please unmute yourself. Moish Lanker, you want to say anything?
I'm good.
Okay, I'd like to open appeal number 4157, Sam Schulman, to the public. Fran?
I have nothing.
Okay, nobody from the public have anything to say? I don't see anybody from the public here. Okay, I'm going to close it to the public. Okay, so this is my understanding. We're looking at 2 lots, 1 lot that's going to be divided, the one 15,000 square feet with a house on it, another 20,000 plus square feet with nothing on it. Sidewalks and curbs will be done at the time that they're looking to do any building on those lots. Do I have any other questions from board members? If not, let's go for a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mosh Lankery and second by Hal Harvison. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Langley,
Yes.
is Mr. Naftali still here?
Yes, he is.
Yes. Yes, I'm here. I listened to the meeting.
Okay, Mr. Ingber,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
and Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes. Thank you, Brian, and good luck. Okay,
Jerry, with the usual stipulations?
Chair, you're muted.
Yes, both applications will have the usual, including the prior application, will have the usual, what I refer to as the Lankry conditions.
Sounds good to me.
Good. That's what we want to hear. Okay, gentlemen,
Well
moving right
said.
along. Ladies and gentlemen, moving right along. Appeal number 4159, Edwin Safri. Fran, can you go with the,
Yes, 1219 North Lake Drive, Block 18, Lots 6 and 9, R12 zone, to construct a new home on Lot 9 with a covered walkway connecting to their children's home located on Lot 6. Setback relief is requested for the covered walkway.
okay, who is representing this?
I am. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Please, Ms. Weinstein.
Good evening again. Miriam Weinstein on behalf of the applicant Erwin Zafir. As indicated, this application is for a residence. It's for an end user. It's an older couple from Brooklyn who plan on retiring to Lakewood next to their married children, far from their urban Brooklyn lifestyle. To that end, they purchased this lot, which is directly behind that of one of their daughters, and they're building this beautiful house, as I'm sure you can you can see from the plans. I think we don't have to talk about the Lankry embellishments on this one. So they're building this beautiful house, and what they'd like to do is install a covered walkway so that they can get from their house to their daughter's house without having to go outside. This way they have the privacy of having their own home, but yet they're also connected to their daughter's home to live out their golden years. The covered walkway requires side yard setback relief. We are also seeking relief for lot coverage. It's 33.8%, where 30% is required. There will be no apartment in the basement. I'm sure, as you see, this is a highly upgraded home. There's not going to be an apartment or anything like that. And I think with that, I can call on Brian Flannery and ask to have him sworn.
Mr.
Gary,
Dasty,
you're muted.
yourself.
You're muted.
Mr. Lankry, do you swear or affirm the whole truth so help you God?
Mr. Lankry or Mr. Flannery?
No, Mr.
Both
Flannery.
of them, especially Lankry. How about Mr. Flannery?
I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, professional engineer, professional planner. Okay, so this particular piece of property is shown on sheet 23 of the tax map. Backs up to lot 6 in the same block on Irish Road. And as Miriam indicated, it's a gentleman who's building a house next to his daughters and wants to have a covered walkway. And I really have to congratulate him. I love my daughter, but I would not want a covered walkway connecting. I hope she's not listening, because
The escalator only goes one way.
I think her husband's on the call, so.
Brian, your grandson just called. He wants to know why not.
Yeah, he used to come to the meetings, and I wouldn't have been able to say it if he was here. But he wouldn't ask why. He knows why. I love him when he comes. I love him when he goes.
Mr. Flannery, there's reference in Terry's letter of an in-ground built-in pool.
Yes.
There's going to be a built-in pool on this lot?
Yes. Yes, the plan that was submitted by Jim Montefiore, we haven't seen a lot of his plans in Lakewood recently, and it's a shame, because he does a wonderful job. It used to be when you would come, if you had a real difficult application, you go get Jim so he could do, a very detailed plan. When you look at the rendering of what is being done, he's living up to his reputation of making houses that are, and other buildings as well, that are beautiful. But yes, there is, as shown on the plan that he submitted, in the rear of the property, and that is close to, it exceeds the setback to the adjoining lot, which is his daughter's lot. So we need relief for that as well. Looking at Terry's report, the bulk relief we need is for the maximum building coverage, and we're at 33.8%, where 33% is what's allowed. In my opinion, it's a de minimis amount. It's a neighborhood that has a lot of beautiful homes, and I think this is going to fit very well into that neighborhood. The side yard setback to the covered walk, we're asking for 2 feet. I'd like to point out that there are going to be structures on each side of the property lines where the covered walk will be independent structurally from the walk on either side, so that if there's some point in the future when he decides he doesn't want to be this close to his daughter and he sells to somebody, it can be dismantled without any structural repercussions. We also need the aggregate side yard setback of 13.53, where 25 feet is required. And again, that relates back to the walkway. With respect to the justification for the variances, the 2017 master plan on the vision statement, page 7, it says encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. It's my testimony that this does that. It provides a nice housing opportunity for family members. Municipal land use law, NJAC 40:55 D2, under the purpose of the act, is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in a state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. The variances that we're looking for are C2 variances. We need to show that it relates to a specific piece of property, and we have a specific situation where an applicant and his daughter have adjoining properties. I think we certainly meet that. The purpose of the municipal land use law, which I just read to you, would be advanced. The variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, which is the effect on the adjoining properties. And certainly the neighbors have been noticed, so we will hear if they disagree with my opinion. But I think adding a beautiful home like this in the neighborhood and allowing this family relationship certainly is a benefit. The variance will not impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance, and the impact of this with respect to the zone plan and zoning ordinance is de minimis. So we need to show that the benefits substantially outweigh the detriments, and my testimony is that it clearly does that. With respect to other things in the report, Terry does indicate the proposed in-ground pool is within 5 feet of the rear property line, and we need relief for that. We're asking for that at this time. And again, due to the fact that it's a family relationship between the two properties, and if that family relationship disappears at some point in the future, anybody buying either house is going to see what's on the ground. And you know, my opinion is they'll think it looks beautiful and have no problem with it. Everything else in the report will satisfy during resolution compliance.
Okay, Brian, give me clarification on this. I'm looking at the pool. The pool's actually in the backyard setback.
Well, the pool is an accessory structure, so the typical setback for accessory structures would be 10 feet. But the pool is less than the 10 feet. So pools are allowed within the rear yard setback. They're supposed to be at least 10 feet from the property line. This is 5 feet from the property line, and we are asking for that relief.
You know, I mean, I understand he's building a nice house, but can't he at least have the 10 feet backyard and move the pool a little bit up? I mean, he's got a lot of property to be able to do that.
He really doesn't have a lot of property to do that, because the open nature of the house that he's building with the courtyard in the middle, you can see where the pool is. The pool patio, if he were to move it back 5 feet, the pool patio would be reduced. And the only one impacted by the 5 feet rather than 10 is the house behind him, which is his daughter.
Yeah, today it's his daughter, but tomorrow it could be somebody else's daughter.
Yes, but anybody buying what's now his daughter's house is going to see where that pool is, and certainly that can be screened. There's will be a fence around it. Anybody buying that is going to be aware of that, and the difference really between 5 feet and 10 feet in a backyard, in my opinion, isn't that substantial. And it's we have a gentleman who wants to move into this neighborhood and do something nice, but he also wants to have a pool where his grandkids can can visit with them.
Any other board members have any questions?
Yeah, I would like to say that I agree with Obi. I think it's a little too aggressive. I think he should pull his pool back a little bit. And how far is this walkway off the property line? 13 feet?
2 feet.
How far?
2 feet.
I don't know. Because I think it's a little aggressive. I mean, is it a hardship? Is there somebody that's like handicapped or somebody there that needs a special walkway?
It's not being presented as a hardship variance. It's being presented as a C2 variance, that the benefits outweigh the detriments. The only one that there would be detriments to would be the adjoining property owners, and they've been noticed. So when the meeting gets open to the public, if they were to indicate that it was an imposition on them, that would be the time. If any of the board members have gone past the existing house that's there now, compared to what's being proposed, in my opinion.
That house is coming down.
Yes.
So it's hard for us to see exactly how everything lays out now.
Well, the house that's coming down is one that in that neighborhood is due to come down, and it's being replaced with a beautiful house that was designed by Jim Montefiore that when you drive up along the North Lake Drive, you're going to see a beautiful house that fits in and is consistent with that neighborhood.
No, I understand the houses. It's just the whole plan is a little aggressive.
Right.
But it's aggressive in the backyard, but the backyard is toward the daughter's house.
When you get a chance.
Have we, Fran, do you remember us ever giving a variance where a structure crossed over into another piece of property, crossed like property lines?
Fran, you're muted.
You're mute. You're on mute.
Mr. Ingber, I don't think this is crossing over the common boundary line. It's just coming up to it, 2 feet from the common boundary line, right?
It's not going to go into into the adjacent property?
No.
It does cross the property line. It crosses.
Oh, excuse me. My bad.
It crosses between
into the next property, correct?
It crosses between lot 6 and lot 9. And I didn't hear Fran's answer, but I've been doing this a long time and never done it. But that doesn't mean it's there's something inherently bad with it. There's a very unique situation for this, which is why we're requesting the C2 variance to allow it.
And Mr. Ingber, that it's removable. It is removable. So for right now, yes, it does cross over the boundary and connect the two properties, but it's certainly removable. It was designed that way so they could always sell one of the properties and then they would no longer have the covered walkway.
Well, my issue is that we give people just even an issue putting a shed 5 feet from a property line. Here you're putting a structure that's a long structure 2 feet from the property line going right into an adjacent property, so it crosses over. Right on.
I mean,
But
can I chime in a little bit?
Sure.
Mosh Langkry, go ahead.
Just a question for you, Brian. Is this gentleman going to ask for a tax abatement at any point of the way?
No.
Don't think so.
This house is basically, I'm basically looking at a rateable right here. This guy is going to be building a house that's be paying more taxes than a lot of strip malls in town.
Mike, you wanna let the tax assessor know that this walkway should be evaluated at a few.
I don't care. Let this guy build. If he wants to build next door, he's building a $6 million house. God bless him. Welcome to the Lakewood tax base. That's my opinion. And
$6 million.
I'll give him the phone number. You know, he's subsidizing 25, probably Ralph Zucker's whole project he's going to build.
And Moshe, it's a that big of a house with 2 bedrooms. So as far as
bedrooms, that means not a single bus. I understand he's a senior citizen also.
There's only 2 bedrooms. They're not using the school buses, and they have no apartments in their basement.
And he's a senior citizen. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes, he's a senior citizen.
Oh, well, welcome to the Lakewood tax base. That's my opinion. And I know the house in front of him they're also very, it's a very big house and they are being taxed, you know what. So, my opinion is I'd rather see him than, God bless him that he wants to come to Lakewood, and I'd like to be hospitable as I can to let more houses like this come and offset the townhouses and duplex that we allow also. So I wouldn't give him a hard time. That's my opinion.
Are you trying to get into the guest house, Morse?
No, I'm just trying to get into the pool.
It's a little too close for compromise. You might have to use the walk of shame on that walkway one day.
Let me tell you something. This guy's probably not going to be here 90% of the time. I know his address.
Is that when you go and swimming?
I'll bring the pizza. You guys are invited.
Do you have any other questions from board members regarding this applicant? Hearing none, I'm going to open it to the public. Appeal number 4159 is open to the public. Fran, have we heard anything?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I haven't heard anything from the public, then I'm going to close it to the public. Brian, I just want to make sure of one thing, that's if and when they sell that house, that it's not up to the people that are buying the lot number 6 to bring down that covered walkway. That it should be the responsibility of the person building it.
That is correct.
I want to make sure that's part of the resolution, Mr. Dasty. I don't want to put the burden on somebody else. Any other board members have any other questions? Okay, hearing none, can I get a vote?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Moshe Langley. Can I get a second?
With Obi's requirement.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Morty Gross. Fran, can you roll call, please?
Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Langley,
Yes.
Mr. Naphtali,
Yes.
Mr. Ingber,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes. Welcome to Lakewood.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Remember, Jerry, there's no tax abatement with this guy, right?
Yeah, no tax abatement. That's right.
What do you mean, 20% more for the variances?
Now, a condition of approval is he has to have a house party and we're all invited once a year. What do you think?
I think so. Hey, friend.
Works for me.
Hey, guys.
I think he'll finish construction before me.
It's 8:17. I want to be done by 8:30, so we're not going to take a break.
Obi, one more. Appeal
Yes,
number
that's right.
4147A, BM of Pine Street. I see Mr. Penzer somewhere. Oh, there he is. Hi,
Hey, I can't sit on this one.
site plan, they're asking for lot coverage.
Guys, I'm off of this one. I don't know if you still have a quorum and everything, but I can't sit on this one.
And neither can Mike Langley, so we have,
4.
Oh, yeah.
Moshe Langley and Morty Gross. All right, without the 4, Mr. Penzer.
There's no use variance here. This is, as my distinguished colleague, you will see, Mr. Flannery says de minimis. This is probably going to be the most de minimis application you'll ever hear. We can do it with 4, as far as I'm concerned.
Which application
Penzer,
are we doing?
can you raise your volume, please? Raise the volume on your...
Which application are we doing?
Pine Street.
Thank you.
Francine, did you say I can't sit on this?
I haven't sat on any of
No,
the
Mike
You can sit on this.
No,
can be on it. Mike voted.
I can't hear him at all.
You can't hear me?
Fran, I don't think I should sit on Pine Street.
that's my Ingber, right?
Inberg.
Yes.
Ingber.
Ingber.
Right.
But, Moshe, I'll point out that all of us who live in this neighborhood sit on Pine Street. In traffic.
Sat on any of
In
them.
cars.
Yeah.
I don't
You
think
might
it's a
have to walk Pine
when
Street
you
'cause
see
you
it.
won't be able to drive it anymore.
Can I tell you something? Compared what you did with the walkway, this is 10% of that.
Okay, so I still have 4 members.
I think we
Are you
can
okay
do
with
it.
that, Mr. Penzer?
I'm good with it.
Okay, Frank, can you read it into the minutes, please?
All right, so who is not the, Mr. Halverson is good, Mr. Naftali is good, Mr. Ingber is good, and Mr. Gonzalez? Mr. Moshe Langley, are you okay to vote on this?
Moshe Langley's okay.
Yes,
Fran,
it's
I shouldn't vote on it
it's
because I
Mr.
haven't
Mr.
voted on
Ingber
any of the
is
others.
not good.
Mr. Ingber, you can vote on this if you want, because this has nothing to do, is what there was a mistake that was in regard to a lot line, in regard to, that was originally there. I don't think it's a problem. I don't have a problem with it, because it's nothing to do with the shul itself. The building is not changed. All we're doing over here is increasing. Brian can explain it in a nutshell. I think you could be there. I don't have a problem with
Did you vote on it originally?
it. It was
No.
not on originally.
No?
And this
Okay, so
stands
that,
by itself.
right, okay.
It's an amended site plan, Brian,
Yes.
and I think they need lot coverage. That's the only variance, Abe?
Yes,
Terry indicates we should reaffirm some of the variances.
it's our position that that's the only one, but Brian's correct. That we have to reaffirm because most of it was done. Moshe Langley spent a tremendous amount of time on behalf of the board working on this thing together, and the board had all these conditions.
True.
We meet all these conditions. The problem is that when we presented it, it was there, but the number was the wrong number. When we went to the architect, he discovered that we had a mistake there. So although we presented it, it wasn't correct. And then we wanted just to straighten it out, to look at it. So we're talking like a 400 or 500 square foot. That's the whole deal that we're talking about here.
Brian, can you explain to us what's going on?
Yes.
Yes.
Brian, please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help God?
But before
Brian
he-
Flannery
before
Jackson,
he-
New Jersey, licensed
he does
professional
that-
engineer and professional planner.
Before he does that, for the record, Abraham Penzer, appearing on behalf of the applicant. Now, Brian, my first witness, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Benson.
So, as Mr. Penzer indicated, subsequent to getting the approval, the applicant realized that the size of the building on the architectural plans as transferred onto the site plan, there was a mistake. And the mistake was 438 square feet in the shul. All of the residential units stay all the same. We're going to comply with all the conditions on the residential units. But now, because the size is that little bit different, we need a coverage variance, which.
Go ahead, Brian.
As indicated in Terry's report, we're asking for a front yard setback of 15 feet from both Pine Street and Martin Luther King Drive, where 30 feet is required. We did get the 15-foot setback approved at the prior hearing, but it needs to be reapproved. Minimum rear yard setback in number 2 of 10 feet where 20 feet is required. Again, that needs to be reapproved. The maximum building coverage, this is where, because of the size that was shown on the plan and the oversight, we're looking for 28.2% where 25% is allowed. And my testimony is that that's de minimis. You heard the testimony when we were here originally as part of the use, because we had duplexes on lots that didn't comply, which is why this site plan came to the zoning board, because it was a very unique application that allowed the shul that was located across the street to move across the street into a proper shul. And the way that occurred was by subdividing the other property to make that happen. Perimeter buffer variance is required. And again, that variance was granted at the previous approval. So the relief that we're basically looking for here this evening is the 28.2% rather than 25%. If you look at the master plan of 2017 under the vision statement, it says encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. This certainly does that. It provides a proper shul across the street from where the congregants already pray. The master plan of 2017 on page 23 also encourages infill development, and that's what that is. We went over how this fits in with the neighborhood. Traffic congestion and parking shortages, it addresses. by having a shul, and we had provided the list of how close everybody lives. The municipal land use law, NJAC 45, colon D2, the purpose of the act, encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. And this promotes the general welfare by providing a proper shul for the residents. What we're asking for is a C2 variance. C2 variance relate to a specific piece of property. This, with the help of the board that we came to this approval, certainly is a specific piece of property. The purpose of the municipal land use law, which I just read, will be advanced. The variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. My opinion is it's de minimis. It's in accordance with what was shown and what was shown on the plan. It was just an oversight on what it was. The variance will not impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. It actually enhances those zones, those purposes, and the benefits substantially outweigh the detriment. My testimony is there's virtually no detriment because it's de minimis relief that we're requesting and provides for proper shul for the congregants. All the other items in Terry's report, we would address. We'll comply with the prior conditions, and as part of resolution compliance, we'll document all of that.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yes.
Brian, I'm not sure you testified. We had comments at the bottom of page 4 of our review. There was one issue regarding
You mean
the stairs.
moving the stairs, Terry's?
We will move the stairs.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And the sanctuary, right, and the sanctuary complies with the number of parking spaces provided.
Right.
Mr. Flannery, do you have an opinion? And if so, what is it that this minor modification will it greatly affect or adversely affect the prior approval?
My professional opinion is that it's de minimis and it really doesn't affect it one way or the other. Anybody driving down the street, if it was built one way or the other, nobody would notice that difference. That's how de minimis it is.
All right, do I have any questions from board members? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to open it to the public. Anybody from the public want to hear on Appeal 4147A? Fran, do we have anybody that had any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay, hearing none. I'm going to close it to the public, and I'm going to open it back to board members. Gentlemen, it seems to me that the minimis that Brian is saying is that they just had a difference in drawing. Is that correct, Brian?
Yes.
To show that, so the actual that you received before, and Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, are already there. That as far as the side yard setbacks and everything else, the only difference was because you're taking up a little bit more space, you're looking at more usage from 25 feet to 28 feet.
20%.
That's correct, Chairman.
25% to 28%.
That's correct.
For the shul.
Is the building is the sides of the building changing at all from the original plans?
It's not changing from what was submitted. It's changing based on what was shown on the site plan. There was a mix-up, right, between taking the architectural plans and putting them on the site plan.
The original site.
Brian, what is the size of the shul now? Or was? Did that change?
I don't think so.
The square footage of the shul itself?
From 4,100, 4,500.
Yes. The plan as submitted was for the 4553, the architectural plan, but what was called out on the site plan was 4115. So there is a 400 and I think it was 438 square feet additional.
The original architectural plans had the correct square footage. Inadvertently, nobody's used the word mistake yet, but inadvertently somebody made a mistake when they transferred that over to the site plan that we actually saw. So this now changes the site plan to reflect what the architectural plans always said. Right?
Yeah.
But did the setbacks of the building change in any way?
No.
From the side yards?
No.
So your side yard setbacks and your front yard setbacks are all the
Yes.
same.
From my understanding, the only thing that changed was basically the percentage of the building usage. And it's to reflect exactly what was shown at the time that was not properly, stated.
Correct,
That's basically that's taking place,
correct.
right?
Very well said. I couldn't have said it better.
So I personally don't have a problem with this situation. Do any of board members have any questions or comments? Bush, can you hear me? Lankry?
Yes, I can. I have
All
no
right,
problem
great.
with the project.
Excellent.
I'm
So
ready to make it.
let's get a motion on the table, please.
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve on appeal number 4147A. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Hal Harrison. Fran, roll call, please.
Mr. Halverson,
Aubrey said we had to be done by 8:30, so I'll vote yes.
Mr. Langford. Yes. Mr. Naftali, are you there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
And Mr. Ingber, are you voting?
Yes, I'll vote.
Yes, okay. And Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes,
I
yes.
said yes, I'll vote. I didn't say what. Okay, yes.
So therefore, Mr. Penzer and Brian, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Fran, did Morty Gross vote or did we not vote? Did Morty Gross
He
vote?
did not vote on that.
Okay.
Did not vote.
Right.
I think
Morty doesn't want to vote.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
I love Abe, but this one's too sticky in my neighborhood.
Morty, let it lead on. Morty Gross is against Schools.
Okay.
I have no opinion.
Any board members
I'll
here now?
be in trouble whatever I say.
Abe, he'd rather sit in his car on his driveway than move because he can't go anywhere.
Bye. Have a wonderful evening, all. Thank you.
You too.
Take care, Abe.
Good seeing you.
Good night.
The only thing that I have left to say is let's go crash.
Wait,
the
you got
wedding.
two
Let's go crash the wedding.
resolutions, Opie.
Everybody get dressed and let's go crash the wedding.
Hey, wait, Opie, you got two.
Pay your bills so Terry and I can, pay your bills so Terry and I can have a nice Thanksgiving, please.
Well said, Jerry.
Opie, you got two resolutions and you have to pay bills.
Yes. Resolutions, okay. We have two resolutions.
4155, Peril Keller, Oak Street. That's the one we denied.
Yeah.
We still deny it.
You still deny it, okay. All in favor of the denial?
Aye.
Okay, and 4161, 118 Ocean Avenue, that's Zach's. They get 6 single-family lots, and we
That's the one that
approved
went from 6 lots to 4.
to 4. We approved 4 lots.
Right.
You all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, pay bills.
Fran, that's not the Zax, that's the anti-Zax.
Oh, yeah. Jerry and I have to get paid. Approve the bills, please.
Yes.
Approved.
Oh,
There's no
Terry
silence.
also. Terry has to
Okay.
get paid too.
Obi, one more resolution.
Yes.
Can we give Fran, Jerry, and Terry a bonus?
Yes.
Or that's not right?
Pizza, Moish.
All in favor? Aye.
Hey, Abe's not
That's
here.
inherently beneficial, Jerry.
Salary.
Good night, everyone.
Next meeting, wait, next meeting, December 7th.
Everyone have a wonderful
December
family
7th.
Thanksgiving. And invite as
Okay.
many of your families as you want to the table.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
And ladies,
Take care,
all the
everybody.
very best.
Good night.
Aye.
Good night.